Good day, everyone. Today I am back with another video on One Piece because I just finished, literally just finished reading the Alabasta Saga, and I have a few thoughts and comments I want to make and put into this video because that's what I'm doing for One Piece. I'm reviewing it saga by saga. So the Alabasta Saga consists of 5 arcs, those being Reverse Mountain Arc, Whiskey Peak Arc, Little Garden Arc, Drum Island Arc, and Alabasta Arc. And if I had to rank them, I'd definitely say that the Alabasta Arc is the best. Drum Island is the second best, Little Garden is the third best, Whiskey Peak the fourth, and Reverse Mountain the fifth. So to get started, I just want to talk about the returning Straw Hats, who are, at this point, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp. We'll start off with Luffy. Luffy in this saga was very good. I found he was a large improvement off the East Blue Saga, and we saw a lot of character development. I guess it's not development, but it's more fleshing out of his character, and the saga really shows different sides of him. It gets at different angles. And I particularly like in the Alabasta arc when basically he changes Vivi's mind about what their goals should be, when he says, we just gotta kick Crocodile's ass and then the war will be over. We can explain everyone and everyone will be fine. We just gotta kick Crocodile's ass. Which, it's a bit true. It is a bit true. It's not as simple as that, but Luffy definitely sees it that way. And another big moment for him, in my eyes, is on the Little Garden arc when he goes absolutely bananas over the fact that someone put a bomb in that ale. I think it was Mr. 3. And it's just, he just goes absolutely bonkers. And of course the Drum Island arc where he carried an injured Sanji and a sick Nami up the mountain to the castle to get them a doctor. That showed his level of determination for his friends and just in general his determination for life. And it's a big character moment for Luffy, I think. It really shows his determination. And that's all I can say. Luffy doesn't really change or develop much, in my opinion. We get this static character, but we see many sides of him. And which it works well for the series because it kind of leaves things open for the other crew members to tell their stories. So we'll go on to Zoro. Roronoa Zoro. He is definitely, I can safely say, not as cool as he was in the East Blue Saga. I liked a lot of his character moments more in the East Blue Saga than I did in the Alabasta Saga. That being said, he is still my favorite Straw Hat to date, and I really love his moment. I don't think he really gets a lot of moments to shine in this saga, except for the iron cutting moment in the Alabasta arc. But besides that, I don't have much to say on him. If you can't tell already, most of the things I have to say are in regards to new things that happen in this saga, but I just want to update with my thoughts on the returning Straw Hats first because I just need to get that out of the way. And then we'll go to Nami. I can definitely see that Nami is unique in her role in the crew, in the fact that I think this is her first fight. Her first fight is in the Alabasta arc, and it was a bit boring, and it was a bit iffy in the end, I gotta say, because she's all about, I can barely stand because her leg got pierced and stabbed. She's not the strongest person. She's not like Zoro where nothing happened. I did not bear all Luffy's pain. Anyways, yeah, and she just got up and walked away, and it was like, just a minute ago you were desperate. Was that an act or something? It might have been, but I don't know. So, moving on, we have Usopp. Usopp he's still a good character. I think there's a lot of things about the Straw Hats that I liked more in the East Blue Saga. Like his comedic moments I find hit harder in the East Blue Saga than in the Alabasta Saga, and he's kind of sidelined, which is fair. We have to make room for more things, of course. I'll get into that. But he kind of peaked for me in the fight with the mole girl and the bat person. I forget their names. They're one of the Broke Works officers or agents. And just that panel of him with the broken nose and him soaked in blood, that is so iconic for his character. And that's just an awesome moment. I really like that. And finally, we have Sanji, which I think that he is one of the only Straw Hats that really saw a major improvement in this saga compared to the East Blue Saga. I really liked a lot of his fights, and I liked his kind of dynamics with the girls. They're less straight out perverted, and they're more, he loves all girls that he sees. It's not like, yo, titties. It's more like, whoa, a beautiful girl. Just everything. I feel like he'd be a feet guy. He'd simp for the feet sometimes. But a lot of Sanji's moments are wrapped up in protecting, I guess, girls and the honor, and his fight with Bon Clay, and just he did get a big improvement. His character is a lot more enjoyable, I find, and it's dynamic with the crew is given a bit more time, a few more panels to really develop in this. Of course, it's this saga is over 100 chapters long, so of course he is given more room to breathe, and I think he really deserves that, and I'm actually really excited to see where Sanji is going right now. So my thoughts on each arc in this saga. So we'll start off with the Reverse Mountain arc. I found it was a bit boring. Of course, I ranked it 5th out of all the arcs in this saga. I didn't find Laboon that, of course I felt bad for him, but I didn't find it that much compelling. Maybe that'll change in Thriller Bark, but right now it's like, okay, and then there's the doctor dude, I forgot his name, and it's just like, okay, yeah. Yeah, like I think that this saga really has a bit of a slow start, and it really picks up in Little Garden. So going on to Whiskey Peak was a bit boring too. I was a bit confused. I guess I might have missed a few dialogue panels, but I didn't really get Ingram was good until he was sailing off into the sunset. And I mean, I like Ingram, and I like Baroque Works. Baroque Works is a very interesting organization, and I think a lot of the members are very generic characters, but their devil fruits are really where they shine. And then going on to the Little Garden arc was pretty good. I liked Broggy and Dory. Mr. 3 was okay. I didn't like the whole turning into wax statues thing. Not my big cup of tea. No, that's not me. But yeah, so Little Garden arc, it really kind of picked things up, and it really got into the meat and potatoes of stuff, and this is where the Vivi and the whole crew starts to really develop and really get going. So of course I'll mention Vivi. I have a whole section about Vivi. And now we get into the Drum Island arc, and this is the introduction of another crew member actually, which is Tony Chopper, which I'll get into him in the next section. But the arc in general was pretty good. I found that I didn't find myself caring about Walpole or the people of Drum Island too much. I think they did a lot better job, like Oda did a lot better job in this regard in past arcs and past sagas. I did care about the kind of central thing, like Walpole, I wanted to see him fall, and I wanted to see Chopper kind of grow to trust the crew. Yeah, so that's kind of it for the Drum Island arc. It's pretty good. Again, I like it, but there's some problems with it, of course. There's problems with everything. And the Alabasta arc, my big complaint for this, and it's basically my only complaint, is it's a bit confusing. It's generally just a bit, it's large scale. It definitely is large scale. I don't think anyone's really gonna fight me on it, because the Alabasta arc, it has so many moving pieces, and unfortunately I think that one of the big moving pieces that we didn't get to focus on enough was the rebel side of things, and just generally that kind of failed. I really wanted to see more of the rebels and Vivi's childhood friend. That would have been awesome. Aside from that, Crocodile, amazing villain, very cruel, and he's just really cool to watch, I think, just in general. And that's it for this section, the arc review, the arcs. So the new Straw Hats, I'm going to talk about them, that being Chopper, and at the very end, Nico. I'll talk about her. I know she's going to join the crew, so I'll talk about her here in this section. But Chopper, I found he exceeded my expectations. I didn't know what was going to happen to him, and I didn't know how he was going to fit in the group, but I like his kind of dynamic with the group and the Straw Hats, and I also really like his powers. His point system and his transformations they're good. I do like them, and I like that he has to kind of using drugs, basically pharmaceuticals, to enhance his abilities, because he's a doctor, of course. And just, I hope he does, because I've heard he kind of gets turned into the mascot and doesn't do much, and I hope that's not true, because when he teamed up, like, Usopp kind of had the big moment in the mole woman fight, but Chopper was there too, and I really liked how they teamed up and kind of worked together. And I liked how one of the moments that sticks out to me is when Chopper was trying to dodge an explosive baseball, and he's in his big form, and he shrinks down to his brain point, and he's like, oh, I forgot I could do that. Like, that made me give me a hearty chuckle. So I'm excited to see where Chopper goes in future arcs. I am liking his character so far. I don't have much more to say than that, because he's definitely one of the lower tier Straw Hats right now for me. I'd rank him among Sanji and Usopp and Nami for me, definitely. Whereas I guess Sanji, the Monster Trio kind of stand out to me. I like the Monster Trio a lot, that being Sanji, Usopp, the Monster Trio being Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro, of course. Zoro is my favorite, Luffy's second favorite, Sanji third, Nami, Usopp. I like them all equally, though. Zoro just a bit more than the others. So now we go on to Nico, and I really did not like how they did Nico in this arc. She was a bit too mysterious and too vague, and she just felt like she didn't need to be there. Like, you need to introduce her somewhere, I get that, but just did not feel necessary. Like, she just basically stood around all the time. Her only big thing was with Pluton when she went and she read it. That's all. No, it's just not. She's whatever. I'm excited to see where she goes, because I know that in the Water 7 arc she gets a lot of development and that goes more into depth. It's one of those things where, well, introduced in Orange Town. Like, Nami is introduced in Orange Town. She doesn't get her arc until Arlong Park. So it's one of those things, except she is introduced in the Alabasta Saga. And then we have a whole saga, which is Sky Island. And then we get to Water 7. And she gets her character development in the second to last arc in the Water 7 saga. So we have Sky Island Saga. I'm going to read that, the Jaya and Skypiea arc. And then I'm going to make a video about those. And then we have the Water 7 arc. And that's when we'll get Nico's kind of second look. I'll give a special spotlight to Nico when I get past the Water 7 saga. So that's all I'll say. And now, moving on, we have Crocodile. Crocodile is so cool. One of my favorite villains so far. I think he is my favorite villain so far that I've read. He beats out all past villains. He beats out Axan Morgan. He beats out Buggy the Clown. He beats out Kuro. He beats out Don Krieg. He beats out Arlong. And he's so cool. He's so cool. And what I think is so cool about him is you can't even compare the villains of any of his saga's arcs, because they're all working for him. So he's automatically the top dog. And his power and the way that Luffy has to get around it is a very scary thing. And I found that his sadist nature throughout the whole arc really contrasted super, super well with the rest of the cast. And especially, I just really like Crocodile. He is so cool. Moving on, we have Vivi. Vivi, I want to give her own section because I love Vivi. She is such a good character. I was a bit apprehensive at first, but I grew to love her. And by the end of the Alabasta arc, I gotta say, I firmly sympathized with her fully. And I gotta say, she's my favorite character in this entire saga. All the Alabasta saga, she is my favorite character by far. Followed only by, I'd say, Luffy in that regard. And then Crocodile. But Vivi, there's a lot of awesome moments, but one that sticks out to me is the moment where she doesn't want anyone to die. Luffy sits her down and he says, "You need to let us risk our lives because this is what we want to do. We want to help you and help your kingdom and your home." And it's just such a beautiful moment where she learns to trust in these people's abilities. And when Luffy is dead, quote unquote, by Crocodile spreading that rumor, she doesn't believe it, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I read it as she goes, that's impossible. And when you contrast that to Usopp's reaction of, it's probably not true, but I'll cry anyway. Like, her denial is a bit of a blind faith. You can call it naive, but I call it more just hopeful and optimistic. I love Vivi. She is my favorite character in the Alabasta Saga. So, moving on to some of the more problematic parts of this arc. I say problematic because I don't like them. We have Bon Clay, Mr. 2. His treatment by the Baroque Works agents is absolutely awful. They call him a lot of slurs and demean him a lot. And it's truly, every time he was called a queer or the other word, the one that starts with F and ends with T, it hurt. It really dated One Piece for me, and it was clear that this was written in a different era, in a different time. It really was, and it's tough to read now, honestly, because this is marketed at little boys, at teenage boys, like young teenage boys, so around like 13, that age. And I wouldn't want kids reading that and thinking that that's okay. And even though it is the bad guy saying it, no one ever goes, "Yo, you need to cut that shit out and you need to just stop," because it's the bad guys. It's just how they treat them. It's not really outright said to be wrong, which would have been nice. But I really like Bon Clay's character and the representation he kind of brings as being gender fluid. And there was an SBS place where Oda basically said, you need to link, it was a game, and he said, you need to link, go from guy to girl, and get to the end. You can't use Mr. 2 though, because he's not either a guy or a girl. He's androgynous. He's basically gender fluid. That representation in there is very welcomed, except for the treatment he receives by the Baroque Work agents. That pissed me off, genuinely. Whenever he was called queer or whatever. Just but I did like Bon Clay. I did want to point him out because I don't like that stuff. It's just disrespectful to real life people. And next, moving on, is instead of more a real concept, it is a writing issue. I find Pell's sacrifice at the end of the arc, nearing the end with the big bomb, was cut short. That is such a bad move on Oda's part. He just needed, there needed to be, I guess, a bit of consequence. And even though Vivi, it didn't feel like she lost anyone. It didn't feel like it had any weight to it. The war kind of, citizens died, but we don't know citizens, and citizens don't have an emotional connection to Vivi, because I had such an emotional connection to Vivi, and I was really liking her and I was relating to her. Like Pell, his sacrifice would have impacted me a lot more if it wasn't just written off as he got blown up, he survived, Whereas Zoro's childhood friend falls downstairs and dies, Pell just gets blown up and survives. A bomb that was gonna kill millions. Yeah, so stupid. So stupid. Anyways, that was my thoughts and review of the Alabasta Saga of One Piece. I will be moving on to the Jaya Arc Island Saga very soon, and I'll try to get the video out within the next 2 weeks. So the video's over now. This is kind of just the after talk, I guess. I just want to shout out a few people. There's GR Chris and Kaihan. I have been on a video in both their channels. On Kaihan's, I played Among Us with him and a few other friends and a few other YouTubers. And on GR Chris's channel, we talked about JoJolion. So if you're a fan of JoJolion and you want to go check out a guy who enjoys JoJolion also, he does have a few good videos on JoJolion, but he also does make a lot of other videos that are also good. He's just a good guy, and I want to see him really grow. Some housekeeping things for my channel. Personally, I'm going to put out a school project on this channel publicly about a developmental theory for a family dynamics class. So that's coming out for the end of the week. And I'm starting a new series called Volume by Volume, which basically I'm going through manga volume by volume, manga that I've read and I like. For example, we're starting off with My Hero Academia, and I'm going to be disregarding the fans and the anime and a lot of my personal kind of gripes, loves of the series, and I'm going to be trying to build kind of this semi-objective thing, going volume by volume, showing the subtle character moments and the things that you might miss on your first read through and on your second read through, but if you really look into it, it really does do a lot of good job. And yeah, so the first episode of that should be coming out very, very soon. And yeah, guys, so leave a like on this video, leave and subscribe if you are feeling up to it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.